Welcome back to Big Up Dollar Bin Beats, where we review the best electronic music we can find in the dollar bins with a strong focus on drum and bass. Just stop saying that, just say it's drum and bass. So we're going to take a look at, if you watch my previous video, I posted a big thing where I hadn't listened to any of these records. Finally got a chance to, and some of these things are amazing. Some not so much. So let's get into it. So let's start with Phantom Audio. Phantom Audio is one of Digital's labels. Always dig this label. We'll grab stuff typically. It's kind of one of those ones that a lot of the stuff ends up in the dollar bin. It's highly underrated. I'm not even sure why it ends up in the dollar bin, because some of it is absolutely amazing. You'll see that the A side is a Frontline remix by Digital. I'm pretty sure it's Digital remixing Digital. Oh wait, nope. I'm sorry. That's my bad. It's Nax Clarion remixing Frontline, which is a Digital tune. We've seen Nat Clarion in a previous review. He only had 2 or 3 releases. I might have all of it so far. So the first tune is his. It was definitely better than the L plates. It's got a heavy bass. It's got some good synth stuff. It sounds a little dated, but not in a bad way. So it's a decent tune. Sounds like the guy was more, most drum and bass releases, you see those very early releases, the people are learning how to do this, and they sound like other people, and they're not learning their own sound. So I mean, it's the same for almost all musicians, really, and a lot of other stuff where you see people who are making artistic stuff. Their first stuff is good enough for people to check out, but it really takes some time to build out your stuff, build out your own, form your own style, and become who you truly are. It's something that they talk about a lot in stand-up comedy. It takes like 10 years or something, they think. Anyways, so decent remix. I think it's definitely a decent tune. I'd pick it up. And then the A side is Informer by Digital, and this is why I'm doing these videos. The B side of this, the AA, ooh, that is a fucking tune. That is a fucking tune. Huge air sirens, synth drones, just the bass is massive. This thing, it is repetitive in a way that really works. Like, the bass has got these heavy bass stabs that repeat, and it gets repetitive, but the breaks under it change. It's unique. It's huge. This is a forgotten classic. Like, this should not be $2. This is something that people should be listening to now, because it is fucking good. So run out and find this thing, because I guarantee you can get it for a couple bucks on Discogs at the moment. I mean, we're talking like $2-3. Go grab this. All right, next we got Sonic and Silver, Generation Dub EP on Trouble on Vinyl. Four-song EP. I dig a lot of stuff that Sonic and Silver did. I dig a lot of stuff they did as what the fuck are they called? Their other name. I'm a pretty big fan of like Sonic's solo stuff. Silver, I haven't heard quite as much, but we have reviewed some previous Silver, and we've reviewed some previous Sonic stuff. So this was definitely worth picking up. It was an EP and it was under $4, so this was super cheap. I think this was $3, so that's $1.50 a plate at 75 cents a tune. Even if all 4 tunes are shit, it's probably worth picking up. So let's talk about the tunes. Sorry, I keep flipping that over. So let's talk about the tunes. We got Generation Dub, Bushwacka, Vaporize, and 21 Guns. Now, on this EP, in my opinion, there's only one good tune on this EP. That's Generation Dub. I'd love to know. I mean, this is early enough that it might have been before Generation Dub ever released any tunes. It'd be kind of interesting to know if they actually took their name from this EP. I tried to do a little research. It didn't show much. Um, Generation Dub has got like a real big bass. It's huge. It does suffer from a little bit of the style of the day where it's a little bit long and gets kind of repetitive, especially towards the end. And that was, of course, done for vinyl DJ mixing. People don't need to do that anymore because you've got beat matching that's done by Serato and or Tractor or whatever they're using to DJ with. And I'm not hating on that. Just in fact, I kind of like that because I don't listen to a ton of mixes personally. So it's nice to see that um, it's nice to see that it has progressed past that. So next up is Bushwhacker. Sounds super dated and super repetitive and completely forgettable. Even looking at my notes, I didn't write much because there just wasn't anything there. Vaporize had some good proper break layering, but in the end, once again, kind of repetitive, kind of like forgettable. And then 20 gun, one gun remixed by Loxy and Ink, and I'm a big fan of Loxy and Ink, both the hard stuff they did and Loxy's solo stuff. But this remix left me like pretty disappointed. It was extremely repetitive, sounded so dated. It just wasn't. It just. I wanted the song to be over before it was done, which is sad. But I have to say, like, as someone who is like, if you're a brand new DJ that's trying to spin vinyl, which is basically no one, um, but you're interested in that, you're interested in building up a collection, picking this up for $3 to learn how to mix with vinyl and to get like one really good tune, I think it's worth $3. It's definitely not like throwaway music. I'm glad it's here. The art is very early 2000s, late 90s. Um, you know, leave it up to you. This one's like, if you were to say like must buy if you have a couple extra bucks, or don't buy, like buy if you have a couple extra bucks. Like, all right, next we got Futurebound and Codek on Infrared. Infrared was Magic J's label, is Magic J's label. I believe he's still putting out music. Uh, Magic J's early stuff is pretty amazing. There is a couple amazing classic albums on Infrared that I will probably review at some point in time. Um, Now, Magic J is one of those guys who went with trends and kind of made some jump up in the early 2000s. It still makes some fair amount of jump up, and I'm not hating on that at all, but I was expecting that from this. So it is jump up, but it's good jump up. It's good early 2000s jump up. It's the type of jump up that I would actually enjoy when I heard it in the club. That was when I was clubbing a ton. I would go out to drum and bass shows multiple nights a week in my early 20s. Even in my late teens, I would go as often as I humanly could. It didn't matter if it was drum and bass, I would go. Um, so the A side really, it sounds like Sub Focus on Ram. Like it instantly reminded me of that in a good way. It had like a real frantic break and a real frantic thumping bass that's like really like stab hits, just really repetitive stab hits, but not like a traditional 808 like jungle music would have. Super reminded me of Airplanes by Sub Focus, and I really dug it. Like I was doing this while I was cleaning up my office, and I was dancing around. Like this is the type of jump up I really like because it's not thin, it's not annoying, and it's not there to necessarily. Um, it's not. It's not just there for the reaction. It's built to actually have like a purpose. So I really dug this. The B side was also amazing. It was a jump up tune with not a lot of like mid bass, but it's real frantic. It's real sped up. It's trying to get you on the dance floor. It drops some amens in there. It's got some great breaks, which is not, that's not a calling sign of a good jump up, of jump up in general. A lot of times jump up has like super two-step, simple drums. So if you want some dance floor tunes on the cheap, go pick this one up. Something that like doesn't sound dated and kind of stands the test of time. Go pick this up. Next, we got some Bingo beats. So Bingo was around for a decent amount of time. It was DJ Zink's drum and bass label, and it, for what it was doing, I really liked the stuff they were putting out until Zink went dubstep and then like electro and house, which I'm all for. So he would pick really heavy dance floor tunes, and some of them I did not dig, and some of them I loved. It was kind of dance floor stuff that I really loved at the time that this stuff was coming out, the early 2000s. He released quite a bit of stuff, and then so it's kind of a label that I'll pick up, especially if it's cheap. Even if I don't absolutely love the tune, it's kind of one of those labels I'd love to. Oh, they mean something to me in my history with drum and bass. But instantly I saw this Bingo, and it was Zed Bias. Now, I hope anyone watching this at least has at least a bit of little name recognition with Zed Bias. Zed Bias went on. This is super early in his career. I think it's like his second release, maybe his third. He went on to be pretty legendary in the dubstep world. Released some massive tunes on dubstep. Big headlining guy. And then he's also come back to drum bass. He still releases both drum bass and dubstep. He releases on more experimental drum bass labels like Exit, and does some really interesting tunes on Exit. So the instant I saw that this was that Zed Bias, just making sure, like when I went and looked through the Discogs, I snatched it up in a second, but I wasn't paying any more than I was for all of these, which I think was $2, except for the Generation Dub, since that's 2 plates. So it starts out with an A-side of Makasoa, and this tune, it's a little boring. There's nothing wrong with it. It's definitely a little experimental, which I love, and it's definitely dance floor. It's got some vocals of that kind of sound like tribal music. It's definitely kind of tribal influence, drum and bass. Nothing to like, pretty forgettable A side, and then you do the flip to the B, and this is another one of those tunes of why I wanted to make these videos. This shit is banging. It's so fucking good. It's experimental in a way that wasn't really being done at the time. It's got this off-kilter bass that plays off the break, and it just gets you like, it's not a jump up tune, but it makes you want to dance the way that jump up makes you want to do it. It's like different. It's huge. It's the type of stuff that was forgotten because it wasn't cool at the time, but should come back in style, or at least should get a revisit by some people. So if you run out to Discogs, buy this like straight out right now. Go pick this up. Give it a listen. It's amazing. I absolutely love this. So last up, we got Easy Rollers. 2 remixes, one by Distorted Minds, which we see big here. You can probably guess. And then the other one's by Tommy Knockers. So you can guess that Distorted Minds was selling a lot of records at that time. Like, Distorted Minds was doing interesting stuff with Jump Up. When I say interesting, I absolutely hated it. But it was... actually, it's Tommy Knocker just by himself, not remixing and it's on Intercom, which was Easy Roller's label. So I love the Easy Rollers as a general. Like, they did amazing jungle, they did amazing atmospheric drum bass, they did amazing kind of harder tech step stuff. They were really one of those groups that did everything. They've got classic tunes, like huge, massive classic tunes like Here Come the Drums. So I'm willing to pick them up on a chance. And when I saw that Distorted Minds did the remix, I was a little wary. Pardon me. I was a little wary, but I thought I'd give it a shot. So put it on there, and I'm instantly like, "Yep, this is what Distorted Minds does." They remixed it. They just took everything out of it. It's squelchy, not in a good way. It's super simple. The breakbeat is made for jump up. I'm sure it gets a reaction. On my system, the bass just isn't there. It's missing all the components I want in drum and bass. It's not interesting to me. It's pure reactionary dance floor fodder. Not hating on it, just not for me. The B-side by Tommy Knocker, Route or Rule. Decent little loungecore tune. Loungecore was kind of going through a phase with drum and bass at that time. 2003, 2004, 2002. It's kind of like the very first trendy sound of Liquid. I think it'd actually be pretty fun to do like a loungecore mix these days. It's kind of forgettable. It's not like the stuff I'm absolutely in love with anymore, but nothing wrong with it. Nothing offensive. I might skip this one if I was looking for records. But if you like that early 2000s jump up and you like Distorted Minds, it might be for you. It's not for me. Anyways, if you like what we're doing, make sure to like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Definitely leave a comment. I want to talk to you guys about this stuff. Peace out.